The liquidity crisis is here without a doubt. What is going to be the solution? Well, we're going to show you a couple examples, gold, silver, but then we're also going to talk about the role that XRP, facilitated by Ripple and their big treasury stockpile reserve that everybody's jealous about. They hate us because they ain't us. A massive amount of momentum behind the XRP community. And then the fact that Ripple's been so successful, actually cited by the SEC as to their justification for the ridiculous disgorgement and penalties that they are suggesting the judge slap on Ripple. Now, the SEC, in my opinion, is going to get smacked down once again by the judge. And we are going to see Ripple have full clarity as to how they can distribute XRP so that they know they won't be conducting an investment contract unregistered securities offering. With that clarity, they can start to address the liquidity crisis, the debt, and the currency crisis. Is that trifecta, right? Debt, currency, liquidity crisis. We have on-demand liquidity through XRP removes the need for pre-funded accounts. That's a big part of it. But then you also get this onto the balance sheet of these institutions that they can start to treat it as a reserve currency, just like Ripple is, just like some of us crazies are. And so let's talk about it. Before we get into it, I want to show you what else could be a potential solution, and what are we seeing the central banks around the world do? Stock more gold than they have in the past 50 years, and we're finally starting to see silver take off as well. And this is what I love so much about I should say my investments right now, is that although crypto is down over the past 24 hours, we are seeing silver pump and gold pump. And this is why, this is diversification amongst the asset classes is something that I've done. I don't have 20, 30, 50 different cryptos. I'm not diversified within the various asset classes too much, but I am diversified amongst the various asset classes so that I have exposure. And right now, this is playing off really well because we have our silver pumping up towards $26 per ounce, and we have gold also at all-time high. Went all the way up to $2,277 US dollars. And remember, this is just on the COMEX. What you see on the COMEX and what you can go pick up physically for yourself when you go exchange fiat funny money for physical silver, you're looking at a different deal. You're not looking at $2,270 for gold, and you're not looking at $26 for silver, right? You're going to be paying a premium. And then the question then remains, are you even going to be able to get it? Central banks buying more gold than they have in the past 50 years. And for the past 3 years, we've seen historical deficits in silver, with the demand and the production and the industrial use only growing. And so I love this moment, right? Crypto's back down, which is just an opportunity for us to stack more of the suppressed assets with real world utility in the digital asset space. Great opportunity. But on the flip side, what is our precious metals doing? They're pumping right now. And so I've been talking about this for a while. We got our resources available at my website, ZachRector.com. Whether you're looking to get the metal shipped directly to you, or you have a 401k retirement account, we can get that rolled over as well. Talk to the professionals at my website and they will hook you up. Let's get into it, folks. So right now we're watching this Bitcoin back down, and we see a wallet labeled as Silk Road, Department of Justice, confiscated funds containing about 2 billion of Bitcoin, instigates possible test transaction for 0.001 Bitcoin to Coinbase Prime wallet. Now, what we find here, this is interesting. The last Silk Road sale, we got this big sell-off, and this was, earlier in 2023, we got this big sell-off, but then we did see it bounce back up rather quickly. Right. This was at the beginning of the year. I guess that would have been in February of last year, February, March. And that's when we kind of got that pullback. Then the banking crisis hit in March, and then Bitcoin and gold took off again. And so we got the world, everybody's looking for that store of value. Boring Sleuth here on Twitter, though, he is fact-checking this, and he's saying that only 2,000 Bitcoin were transferred from the U.S. government wallet to what is being dubbed the Coinbase wallet. He's yet to verify that. The other 28,000 Bitcoins still are in the wallet. So Watcher Guru reported that they transferred 30,000 Bitcoins. Boring Sleuth is fact-checking that right now. I will confirm that later in the next update, but for now, we're seeing that they sent the test transaction, and then they sent 2,000 Bitcoin. So we do have Bitcoin on the move, and we've been warning about this. This is another problem for Bitcoin in the Bitcoin thesis, is you got to sell off to somebody. And are you going to be selling off to a Wall Street that's dumping massive amounts of Bitcoin from the spot ETFs. That's right, folks. Another 303 million dumped from the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust yesterday. This they said today, but this was yesterday, April 1st. This wasn't an April Fool's joke. This is Grayscale Bitcoin Trust dumping the most in a week. Another 300 million out of Grayscale. Now, I did report between Fidelity and BlackRock, they're almost at 400,000 Bitcoin. So there's plenty of people that are going to be buying the dip. So we're going to be buying the dip. Wall Street's going to be buying the dip. Whether you want to buy Bitcoin or whatever crypto you want to do, I'm not here to give you financial advice, but you know which ones I'm moving on. I'm passing on the Bitcoin opportunity. And we've been talking about, right, the issues that I still see with Tether. That's come under scrutiny here once again with them basically facilitating flows to sanction entities in Russia. You know how our government operates, the big bad bear over there. And so I'm looking for them to come down harsh with stablecoin legislation and regulations that Tether's going to have to be in compliance with. I'm sure they will. They'll probably do a Binance deal. Remember, Treasury Secretary Janet no telling Yellen, Binance paying a few billion, right? 3-4 billion. I expect something similar from Tether. It's going to be a fat one, $10 billion or something crazy like that, that they pay. They're going to pay to play, and then they're going to continue doing their deal. And in the meantime, and why is Tether being allowed to go? Because they're one of the few entities that's still showing up to these Treasury auctions, which is what I'm going to talk about here in this next one. U.S. Treasury has now paid an all-time high of $1.1 trillion in interest payments over the last year, almost doubled the previous all-time high during the onset of COVID. And this is our Treasury that has already issued $7 trillion of bonds in the first few months of this year. And they were set to do $10 trillion of issuance this year, but they've already hit $7 trillion in the first 3 months. We're on track to hit $10 trillion by next month. Now we add this to the national debt. We add this to the unfunded liabilities over $150 trillion. And you see why nobody wants to show up to our bond auctions, right? Why our bond auctions are nearly failing. They're not completely failing, but they're nearly failing. Now, at a time when bank credit is contracting at a pace that we haven't seen since the great financial crisis, who's trying to issue more debt? Our U.S. government. And not just a little bit. They're trying to load up that credit card. It'd be like me and you asking our credit card company to, just keep adding, right? Raise our limit this month, raise our limit next month. And every single, year here now, we're having potential government shutdowns looming every 6 months. We pass these $1 trillion deals and it only gets us another 6 months, right? We passed the $400 billion deal earlier this last month, and that was only part of the government. We need to pass another one. And they just passed another trillion, didn't they? We've lost track. Billions used to be big, used to be a big number. Now we're talking trillions. People can't even fathom this in their minds when we're talking about this. And so, as I said here, we got a record issuance from the Treasury trying to take on and issue more debt themselves. Meanwhile, the bank credit has collapsed to a level that we have not seen since the great financial crisis occurred. And this is worse than .com. This is worse than the savings and loans. This is worse than the oil crisis of the 70s. And once again, in my opinion, we get a Great Depression light. We get a Great Depression in the technology age. We get a Great Depression before the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And that's, you saw the roaring 20s that made the stock market go nuts. The shoe shine boy was giving you financial advice, right? Now we've seen the same thing playing out. We saw it in the .com. So we have similarities to there too. We have parts of a real estate reset that take us back to the great financial crisis, right? This time it is different. It's a whole hell of a lot worse. Prepare yourself right now. And we've been talking about this, right? And what's the solution? This is the title of today's video, XRP to solve the liquidity crisis. What is the solution to the debt, currency, and liquidity crisis? When you see this record amount of debt issuance, the record amount of bonds that they're trying to issue, this is what they do at the end of a currency life cycle, when they know that they're just going to be able to print it all to pay back those liabilities. There's only two options, folks. It's very simple. Default or inflate. Print the money so that you can pay back those liabilities. So yeah, you're going to get your Social Security, your Medicare. You're going to get a handout. Biden's going to scratch your back and do a little bit more. But it comes with there's a other side of that coin. There's the other side of that deal where you're paying, $20 at the store for a loaf of bread. As we're seeing around all of the Western nations, right? Inflation not going away. And in fact, it's ticked up on all three of the major data points that they watch here in the United States of America. And how do currency cycles end, right? And how do debt bubbles pop, right? How do credit events start? This is it. This is the credit event. You're seeing the liquidity crisis expand. And what's so hilarious is the attacks on Ripple and XRP are at an all-time high. It makes me so excited. For those of you that have already left a negative comment in the chat down below, thank you for at least engaging. You can hit me with the thumbs down too if you'd like. Just do something, please. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate your time. Hope you get some value. And I know you do because you keep on coming back, even though you want to hate on XRP. And even though you want to deny the fundamental facts that we continue to display on a daily basis. Every single day, we will not relent. We are directly over the target. And yes, crypto markets back down. Are we still making money today? You bet we are. You bet we still got plenty of deal flow. We're getting to that action. Ain't no zombie chain activity over here, despite what these haters want to say. XRP is the official blockchain zombie. And we covered this one last week. It looks like this guy did an interview. I forget this gentleman's name. He's the head of crypto research. I love that. Head of crypto research at Forbes. Yeah, how's that program working out? Big Bitcoin Maxi, if you go through his feed. I forget his name. But listen to what he has to say here. And I'm gonna tell you right now, too. You can hear it in their voice. They've been programmed. He's part of the big Bitcoin media machine. And so what do they want to do? They want to attack Ripple. They want to attack XRP. Say it's a blockchain company. If it's a zombie blockchain. Well, if it's such a zombie blockchain, why are you so concerned? Why do you mention the $26 billion war chest that Ripple has? Why are you so worked up about that? If it just means nothing, if XRP is going to go to zero, if XRP is never going to do anything, then why does everybody care that Ripple has a $26 billion war chest? And guess what happens when XRP goes to $5 and $10? Well, you guys can do the math on that one. And this is why I say it is going to be a solution to the liquidity and debt crisis. Let's listen in.
The biggest one that we saw was Ripple Labs, which has a treasury or has about $26 billion worth of a token called XRP held in escrow that will become available over the next few years, that it can just sell into the market as it pleases. So these companies will never have to go, or these foundations or these projects will never have to go to retail markets or anywhere to ask for more money again. They have more money than they could probably spend in a lifetime. So they can just kind of keep persisting, sending out updates and putting out press releases without actually gaining traction. So that's sort of why we call them blockchain zombies.
There's not one data point or metric that you can show that is not actually increasing. We have more developers, we have more nodes, we have more validators, we have more utilities that are coming online. You can look at Ripple's on-demand liquidity growth year over year, 10 times. You cannot find a data or a metric that's actually going down for XRP. The only thing that's happened is the price hasn't gone crazy. The price has been rising. Is it frustrating the hell out of a lot of people? Absolutely. But why are these guys so worked up? What's the problem with that war chest? What's the problem with having, they wouldn't be talking about this thing if it wasn't so valuable, if it wasn't going to be a reserve currency of the new financial system, just like we've been saying. Just like the folks try to call us crazy for calling XRP a world reserve currency. There's already institutions, there's already people. And I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about Ripple. And you do the math. When XRP goes to $5 and $10 on how big that war chest is and how big of an IPO this company's about to have. And they are going to go, and they've already raised capital in the private markets. I have linked to down below. If you're trying to get Ripple on link to, you can. They're sold out right now. So they're getting money from the private markets. They're getting sold out, right? And Ripple would love to go public here in the United States where they're based out of, and they would love to continue expanding. They'd love to hire more people here, but what have they had to go up against? So considering all that, right, price has been the only thing that's been kind of a laggard. But other than that, by every other metric and data point, activity is increasing, adoption's increasing, utilities are being added. And so the momentum just continues to build for XRP and the XRP ledger, and it's just driving people nuts how successful Ripple has been. You can cite, the SEC specifically cited how successful Ripple has been as to why they need a fat disgorgement plus 200 million interest plus a penalty, a civil penalty that's equal to the disgorgement of nearly $800 million for a total of about $2 billion. Why does Ripple need to pay that? Because they're sitting on a $20 billion war chest. They're making billions of dollars every single year. There is so much demand for XRP. We know that because we have 80 institutions that bought XRP from Ripple after the lawsuit was filed. So for all the folks that are saying there's no adoption, nobody's interested, we don't have any banks, we covered it last night. We got China Bank, we got Qatar National Bank, we got that other bank out of Thailand, we got more banks that we probably don't even know about. But we're just supposed to give this one up, you know. Aren't you going to give it up, man? We're not going to relent. We are not going to relent. Our thesis remains the same. And as you can see from today's price action, we positioned and diversified accordingly, and we take advantage. While crypto's down, we buy that dip. When we have crypto down, what's the precious metals doing? It's sending the signal. Gold is sending the signal. Silver's starting to move. Silver's been a laggard, but the momentum behind these assets and the potential for them to solve this debt, currency, and liquidity crisis, it is really the only answer. I dare, I encourage, I challenge anybody to drop in the comments down below. Please explain to me what is the solution to the debt, currency, and liquidity crisis other than gold, maybe some silver, other commodities, right? Vital resources to these countries that they can solve and they can use as real value to solve their current situation. What is the solution? We can file for default, admit we're broke. You know, they don't want to do that. Or we can print our way out of this thing. That's another solution. What does that do to gold, silver, and these cryptocurrencies? Well, you guys already know that deal, and that's why we're positioned, and that's why we're expecting such a massive growth this bull run that is well underway. Although we're going through a temporary pullback right now, nothing has changed on the fundamental basis, and it just continues to get better and better. You guys let me know in the comment down below, is there a better solution to the debt, currency, and liquidity crisis than XRP and gold? I appreciate everyone. Everything's at my website. Thank you so much. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.